Action galore around the Rogers Center. Interesting news outside of Rogers Center. So, Boston and Toronto have met once at Fenway Park and once at the Rogers Center. How did the Red Sox and Blue Jays fare at Rogers Center? Let's find out. Blue Jays game recap. Double Trouble leadoff starts right now.
The Blue Jays are back, and right now, with the game having gone final, we are welcoming you in to Blue Jays Game Recap on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Now, let's go to your hosts of Blue Jays Game Recap, Thomas McGregor, Ali Musa, and Scott McGregor in the Sports for Beginners podcast studio. Take it away, gentlemen, because when the umpire says, "You're out," or "That's the game," or "Let's play ball," we know it's time for some baseball. This is Blue Jays Game Recap. Take it away, gentlemen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Blue Jays Game Recap. Blue Jays and the Red Sox, the first of two Blue Jay Game Recap shows on Sports for Beginners, featuring your host, Scott McGregor, that is myself. A lot to talk about, maybe an ejection or two to talk about as well in this one, or this series, or even the series coming up later, which is our recap of the Guardians and the Blue Jays. More on that a little bit later. As of right now, I am Scott McGregor, your host of the show. The topic of conversation is the Blue Jays and the Red Sox, and we're going to keep it that way. Now, before we get into business, a quick reminder. We said in the opening of the introduction that both of these teams have now met once in Boston and now once at Rogers Center. We're going to get to how things fared at Rogers Center between the two clubs. But first, for those who may not know, the Red Sox lost 3 out of 4 to the Blue Jays, with the Blue Jays picking up victories in early April on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of April, beating the Red Sox 6-2 on Monday, April the 7th, 2025. April the 8th, the Tuesday, 6-1, they beat the Red Sox. They also defeated the Red Sox 2-1 on Wednesday, and then they lost the last game of that series 4-3 on Thursday. Well, how did they fare in the 3-game set at the end of April into early May, as we are in the month of May? How did they fare? Let's take a look, shall we? First of all, our managers, as we jump into the opening segment here. Our managers are John Schneider for the Blue Jays against Alex Cora. Matchup number 1 took place in April, and that was on the 29th of 2025 of April. That featured starting pitcher Bowden Francis for the Blue Jays against Garrett Crochet, who would go for the Boston Red Sox. As we jump right into our meeting on the mound, our second meeting on the mound, which was game number 2, this one went into extra innings, by the way. That would show Yariel Rodriguez getting the start for the Blue Jays against Boston Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito with the start for Boston in game number 2. And in the final game of the 3-game set, the Blue Jays will go to the mound with Jose Berrios, and Tanner Howick got the start for Boston. Blue Jays won both the game at the end of April. They also won the game at the start of May on May 1st, 2025, but they took April 30th, 2025's game in extra innings. We'll get to all of that a little bit later. One more quick thing we're going to do here on the opening segment before we jump in to breaking down the game is getting into our line score for each game. We'll do the same thing on the Cleveland Guardian show coming up later. And for all those who are Star Wars fans, as we are doing this after that big day, which was Sunday, May the 4th, 2025. May the 4th be with you. Of course, we did have a series for the Blue Jays going on during that timeline. And we also have heard that Dalton Varsho returned in this series, but he also would not play the rest of the Cleveland Guardian series. He did return and make his long-awaited MLB 2025 season debut, and he did so in a big way. All right, let's keep it back to line score. In game 1, our line score is for the Boston Red Sox 10 runs on 14 hits, 30 total bases, 7 men left on base, no stolen bases, no errors, and 5 home runs on the 14 hits. For the Blue Jays, 2 runs, 1 home run, 4 hits, 8 total bases, 1 stolen base. They left 4 men on base and no errors in game 1. So once again, rerun around there for the opening game line score. For the Red Sox, 10 runs on 14 hits, no errors. For the Blue Jays, 2 runs on 4 hits, no errors. Off we go to game 2. And our line score, including errors and nothing more. For the Blue Jays, 7 runs, 10 hits, 1 error. For the Red Sox, 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Adding on to that, the Blue Jays hit 3 home runs, the Red Sox with 2. 2 stolen bases for the Red Sox in this one. Blue Jays with 1 error, no errors for the Red Sox. They left 6 men on base. The Blue Jays left 8 men on base. Blue Jays had 19 total bases, no stolen bases, and the Red Sox finished with 15 total bases on account of just 2 home runs. 3 home runs were hit by the Blue Jays. So this was the game that the Jays won. The first game that they won, they actually walked that one off. We'll get to that all a little bit later. But wrapping up our opening segment here with the final line score of the game. Game number 3, which took place on Thursday. And here is your line score and team comparison. For the Blue Jays, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 home runs, 14 total bases, no stolen bases. They left 4 men on base, no errors. For the Red Sox, 2 runs on 7 hits, no home runs, 8 total bases, 2 stolen bases, 5 men left on base, no errors, and no home runs for them, 7 hits, same as the Blue Jays. Blue Jays hit 2 home runs in that one. All right, so the line score out of the way, coaching and meeting on the mound. In other words, for coaching, the managers are up, and out of the way. Now it's time to break down the game. And we will do so next on Blue Jays game recap, so be sure to stick with us. Another Blue Jays game recap is coming your way, Blue Jay fans on the other side, so be sure you stay right with us because we have one more coming up right around the corner. But first, we gotta talk Red Sox and Blue Jays, and we continue talking that by breaking down each game one by one when we return. Stay with us. More Blue Jay game recap right after this.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Blue Jays game recap, our double trouble. I apologize there. I was muted for a moment. Sorry about that. I was actually muted for about a few seconds. Sorry about that. Welcome back, everybody, as I said before, to Blue Jays game recap, the first of two as part of our double trouble. We've got our Guardians and Blue Jays recap coming up in just a few moments once we are done with this one. But our topic of this episode of Blue Jays game recap is the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Blue Jays fell in the opener, which was on April the 29th, 2025, to the Boston Red Sox. That is where we are going to start our breakdown. But in case you missed it in the opening segment, our head coaches, rather the managers, are Alex Cora and John Schneider. Those who were pitching in this matchup were Bowden Francis and Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet with the start for the Red Sox in game number 1. Bowden Francis with the start in game number 1 for the Red Sox. Records for both pitchers in this matchup. Garrett Crochet's record coming in was 2-2. His record is now 3-2. At the timing of this series, by the way, Bowden Francis's record was 2-3. It is now 2-4. ERAs for both pitchers. For Bowden Francis, he came out with an ERA of 5.28. Garrett Crochet out with an ERA of 2.05. And with that said, let's jump right in. So the Blue Jays get smashed in this one 10-2. Here's how it happened in scoring. We start with some home run power, and the first home run of the game came off the bat of Jared Duran. His second home run of the season, fly ball to right center. Alex Bregman would follow up with his 6th home run of the season as the Red Sox get to Bowden Francis early. 2 home runs make up our score 2-0 after the first inning of play. We go to 3-0 after a home run from Christine Campbell, his 4th of the season, to make it 3-0. Another solo shot. 3 solo shots already. There were 5 home runs in the game and 3 solo shots to kick off the game. Home run, another solo shot, the 4th of the game. This one is Rafael Devers, his 5th home run of the season. Red Sox, Jared Duran, Alex Bregman, Kristen Campbell, and Rafael Devers. Rafael Devers in the top of the 3rd, Kristen Campbell in the top of the 2nd. Bregman and Duran in the top of the 1st inning. Later in the inning, solo shots were galore, but not anymore. Later in the inning, we saw yet another home run. This one was a 3-run shot by Willier Abreu, his 6th home run of the season, on a fly ball into center field. Bregman scores, and Trevor Story also scores on the play. Touchdown Boston. It's now 7-0. Red Sox over the Blue Jays. Bottom of the 3rd, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette counter. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with his 3rd home run of the year. Fly ball into center field. Bo Bichette scores. It's a 2-run shot. But this game is already well in hand for the Boston Red Sox after that 4-run 3rd inning. Top of the 8th we go. Jared Duran out on the play. Top of the 8th, he is out on a ground out, but manages to score. Ceddanne Rafaela. I'll go with CR in case I pronounced that wrong. Apologies if I did. Anyways, Jared Duran does score a run here on a ground out as Rafaela scores into the play. Carlos Navarez will go to second on the play. 8-2 Red Sox. Red Sox were leading 7-0. Now they are up 8-2. Top of the ninth, a Kristen Campbell double, his 8th of the season, scores Alex Bregman, and Willier Abreu going to third on the play, 9-2 Red Sox. And the ninth inning scoring will end with Tristan Cascas grounding out softly to Ernie Clement, who was at third base at the time. Willier Abreu will score on the play. Now, we do know later on in this series, we do know that Tristan Cascas, well, actually, no, it was actually after this series, Tristan Cascas was taken off of the field by a stretcher. So we hope Tristan is okay. He was okay for the remainder of this series, and he did play pretty well in game one. All in all, the Red Sox beat the Blue Jays 10-2 in game number one. All right, we got a little bit of time here to get into game number two, so let's jump in, shall we? Here we go. We'll get to the top performers of each game when the breakdowns are done, but we're going to keep it down to keep our momentum going with our. So the Red Sox beat the Blue Jays 10-2 in game number one. That's where we started this segment with. The Red Sox record was 16-14 coming in. The Blue Jays were 13-15 coming in. Going into game number two, they would be 17-14 for the Red Sox and 13-16 for the Blue Jays. Those records would go to 17-14. It was 16-14 for the Red Sox coming in, 13-15 for the Blue Jays coming in. After the Red Sox won the game one, improved their record to 17-14. Blue Jays went to 13-16. The record went to 14-16 for the Blue Jays with the extra innings win, 7-6, the final there. Red Sox were 17-14. They're now 17-15 with that loss in extra innings. But okay, here we go. Here's how it happened. And this, of course, was the matchup where Yariel Rodriguez would face off against Lucas Giolito. Meaningless to say, Yariel Rodriguez. I thought he played okay in this one. But to be honest, his stats didn't really show things up. But anyways, keeping it to scoring, because that's what we're doing in this point. Here we go. So, it's unusual, but it's actually happened a lot. Well, I would say it's unusual, but it's happened a lot of times over the history of the MLB regular season. And of course, in MLB history, rather. But Alex Bregman was batting, and a balk was issued, so Rafael Devers scored on the play. So that avoids a 2-run shot for Yariel Rodriguez to give up. But he does give up a home run to Alex Bregman, which would be Bregman's 7th home run of the season, and also make it 2-0 Red Sox. The score would go up to 4 as Jared Duran and Rafael Devers. Jared Duran Rafaela, I should say, to make it 3-0 Red Sox. We'll go with CR. Again, apologies if I pronounce anyone's name. Players, umpires, coaches, pitchers, who I guess would qualify also as players. Apologize if I pronounce anybody's name wrong at any point in time. Anyways, Rafaela will score on the play from Jared Duran, a single. And then Rafael Devers, his 10th double of the season, scores Jared Duran. It's 4-0. Fast forward through the 5th, 4th, and of course the 3rd inning, and it's more parties for the Red Sox. Well, it was, at least. But in the bottom of the 6th, the Blue Jays come back big. First, in the top of the 6th, Carlos Navarez picks up his 3rd home run of the year, scores Rafaela on the play. It's a 2-run shot. In the bottom of the 6th, Dalton Varsho, his 1st home run of the 2025 season, scores George Springer, and that gets Toronto on the board, 6-2 Boston. But they weren't done there. Moments later, Alejandro Kirk, Captain Kirk, as I would call it, Captain Kirk, Alejandro Kirk, his 2nd home run of the season, fly ball into left center, and just like that, it's 6-3 Boston. Bottom of the 7th we go. And Anthony Santander, his 4th home run as a Blue Jay and 4th home run of the season. A 3-run shot ties this one up in the bottom of the 7th. We're going to extra innings. In extra innings. Really hope Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was okay with this. The ball hit him off of his leg, it looks like, when you look back at the video for the highlight. When you look back at the highlight there, he gets safe at third, and then with the bases loaded, George Springer at second base, Dalton Varsho at first base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was at third. He will score on the play. Alejandro Kirk coming up clutch with the game winner, the game-winning single to take the lead and the win 7-6. I mean, we talk about coming up clutch. That is about as clutch a game as you're ever going to get from a team like the Blue Jays. And I know on Blue Jays Talk, I'm not going to badmouth nobody here, but I know on Blue Jays Talk, we talk about pitchers and we talk about offense for the Blue Jays. But listen, if you can give me a good team that has great starting pitching, and not only great starting pitching, but also good offense and great defense. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be great, but it has to be good defense, rather. Perhaps things will go well for you. We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 2 games in the books, broken down in one segment. When we return, we'll break down game number 3 of this series, jump into the pitching line, plus who were the top performers and the player of the game in each game of this series. And speaking of series, the players of the series will follow shortly after that. We also want to get in some time to take a look at the current standings as they stand now, and we'll do that again on the Guardian recap as they stand now. Those standings for this episode and the next episode may not be the same. We shall see. But first things first, we broke down the game line scores in the opening, talked about the starting pitching matchups in what I like to call the meeting on the mound, talked about our managers. I gave a little bit of a brief history lesson in the series between these two AL East opponents. As we know, they will meet maybe 2 more times this year. They will be meeting. That we know for sure. So these 2 teams are not done with one another. Not yet, not by a long shot. They will be back at it with each other real soon. Maybe not too soon. But we'll take it one series and one game at a time. Off we go to game number 3's breakdown when Blue Jays game recap continues. The scoring version of that when we return. Plus the pitching line for all 3 games, starting with game number 3. Top performers in each game, starting with game number 1. And the players of the series. They all come your way next when we return to Blue Jays game recap. Double Trouble Blue Jays game recap rolls on and continues with our Red Sox coverage right after this.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8:00 p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page, search
on the ice and behind the benches.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Alrighty. Oh boy, I didn't even notice our time had begun. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Welcome back to Blue Jays Game Recap. My name is Scott McGregor. Boston Red Sox and the Blue Jays, the topic of conversation, of course, as we speak with you. The Red Sox have opened up a series with the Minnesota Twins. They took 1 out of 3 in those games at Fenway Park, I should say. That's where they ended up after the series with the Blue Jays that ended at the start of May. We will get to that a little bit later in our setup. Of course, the Blue Jays have also played the Cleveland Guardians as we are speaking to you. We will get to that in just a little bit. But we have one more game from this series with Boston to talk about. And what is that? Well, that is the game that the Blue Jays ended up winning. They won this one 4-2, your final score. Heads up, this happened to also be game number 6 of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of the Stanley Cup playoffs was going on between Ottawa and Toronto. So Blue Jays fans who are Ottawa Senator fans as well as Maple Leaf fans as well. What a series that was. Just a quick thing here. What a series that was. What a series it was. Thomas has you covered on Maple Leaf Post Recap. All of those recaps most likely would air on Sports for Beginners, but they are also able to be seen on the ice and behind the benches. But anyways, let's not jump the gun and jump right to hockey. But I thought I'd bring that up just before we really continued on here. Okay, so we got the hockey news. Out there. Let's talk about what we've been talking about for the past 2 segments, because we do have another show to do on Blue Jays Game Recap. So here we go. Top of the 5th is where we begin the scoring here, and it is Alex Bregman with his 12th double of the season, scoring. David Hamilton and Rob Ruffsnyder scores in this one as well. So 2-run score on an Alex Bregman double. That is a 2-run double for Alex Bregman, his 12th double of the season. Dalton Varsho strikes again, his 2nd home run of the season. And it's a solo shot this time. It takes Toronto into the game. They're on the board. I was going to say they take the lead, but nope. That is a solo shot. So Boston will lead by just 1 run. And that happened in the bottom of the 7th. In the top of the 5th, a 2-run double by Alex Bregman made it 2-0 Red Sox. Now it's 2-1 after the bottom of the 7th. In the bottom of the 8th, a 3-run shot from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his 4th home run of the season. Nathan, and just like that, the Blue Jays have the lead. It would be Jimmy Garcia who would close up shop, I should say, for this game. And the Blue Jays will win the game 4-2 on the final day of this series, which was Thursday, after it began on Tuesday. So this began at the end of April and ended at the beginning of May, which is the month we are currently in. It is May 5th as we speak with you right now. In the line for pitching in game number 3 for the Blue Jays, they would start the game with Jose Berrios going 6 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 8 Red Sox, and only walked 1 Red Sox batter. Next up, it will be Mason Fluharte. Mason Fluharte picking up in He picked up Jose Barrios and finished off the 7th inning. Did not allow anything to knowledge, and Fluharte would also grab the win, his 2nd win of the season. The save would go to Jimmy Garcia, struck out 2 Red Sox, ERA of 0s for Jimmy Garcia at the end of the game. For Jose Barrios, his ERA was 3.98, 2.25 for Mason Fluharte. The only other man out there to pitch for Boston besides Tanner Houck, who went 7 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 home run, 1 earned run, an ERA of 6.38, no batters walked by him, and a couple of strikeouts, 6 to the exact. The next guy out for the Red Sox for that one would be Justin Slatton. Justin Slatton. He would go out there for the Red Sox last inning of play. The Red Sox would not pitch into the 9th inning because they were not able to send this game to the bottom of the 9th inning. Well, they did so on Wednesday, and here is a look at our pitching line for Wednesday, the game that went into extra innings. Lucas Giolito picking up 6 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, 2 Toronto batters walked, an ERA of 4.50, 2 home runs given up, 1 to Dalton Varsho, and 1 given to Alejandro Kirk, who hit a home run in game number 2. 7 strikeouts for Lucas Giolito in his 6 innings of work. Whitlock would go next in this one. Garrett Whitlock would go next in this one. He goes he goes 2 innings. Gives up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, only 1 home run given up, no strikeouts, an ERA of 3.06. Aroldis Chapman picking up 1 strikeout in 1 inning of work, an ERA of 1.59, and Justin Slatton into this game as well, only goes a third of the inning, gives up a hit and a run, 2 walks, an ERA of 3.40, 3.48. Yariel Rodriguez with 2 hits given up, 2 earned runs as a result, 2 walks, a strikeout, and a home run given up in 1 inning of work. He only worked 1 inning. Eric Lawyer, I'll go with Eric L in case I pronounced that wrong. Eric, I apologize if I did. 4 innings of work from him. The ERA for Yariel Rodriguez, by the way, was 5.68. For Eric, it was 4.50. 4 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, 3 hits given up, and 2 batters walked. Chad Green into the game, goes an inning, gives up a hit, 2 earned runs, a walk, and a home run. 4.50 for Eric L was the ERA. An ERA for Chad Green of 4.15. Jimmy Garcia with no ERA in this one, but he picks up a strikeout in his 1 inning of work. Brendan Little, hit given up and 2 strikeouts. 2.77 was the ERA coming out. Jeff Hoffman would get the win after going 2 innings and picking up 3 strikeouts. An ERA of 1.17. Okay, not bad. And finally, our first game pitching line. Let's start with Boston. Garrett Crochet goes 7 innings of work, 4 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 3 walked batters, 6 strikeouts, and only 1 home run given up, an ERA of 2.05. Next up for them would be this man, Luis Guerrero. He goes an inning, gives up nothing, nada, no hits, no nothing. Next up would be Brendan Bernino. Okay, I'll go with BB. I gave it my best shot to pronounce it. If I pronounced it wrong, apologies, like I said. Alright, for the Blue Jays, Fluharte and Garcia. Garcia goes an inning, gives up nothing, puts a strikeout in. Oh, no, never mind. That went to game 3. I was on to game number 1. Sorry about that. My mistake. Anyways, no ERA for Luis Guerrero, and nothing really to show for it, to be honest. ERA of 2.45 for BB. for Boston, the last pitcher that they would show in game number 1. He had 2 strikeouts picked up as well. Dylan Tate was into the game after Bowden Francis went 3 innings, giving up 8 runs, 8 hits, I should say, 7 earned runs, 1 strikeout, and 5 home runs. It pays to you why I say that Bowden was gotten to early. His ERA 5.28 as mentioned before. Dylan Tate's ERA 6.75. He goes an inning and a third, giving up 3 walks, picks up 1 strikeout, and nothing more. Mason Fluharte picking up 2 innings of work, 2 strikeouts also, an ERA of 2.53. And Casey Lawrence into the game to finish this one off. Goes 2 2/3, gives up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 strikeout, an ERA of 4.97. All right, ladies and gents, let's find out who our top performers of the game were. We're going to have to bring up the players of the series after a short and final commercial break of the show. Around that time, it will be time to look at our standings. What are the upcoming series? Of course, we talked about those early on. And it's also time to set up round 2 of our Double Trouble on Sports for Beginners. Guardians and the Blue Jays, moments away, but very quickly here before we wrap this segment up. The player of the game in game number 1 would be Alex Bregman. 3 for 5, a home run, a strikeout, an RBI, and 3 runs scored. He was also a top performer. Kristen Campbell was also a top performer. Home run, a double, a walk, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. And Willier Abreu, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a home run, and a walk. Willier Abreu went 3 for 4 in the game on April the 29th, the Tuesday, 29th, 2025. Kristen Campbell going 2 for 4 in the game on April the 29th, 2025. That is the Tuesday night game. Alex Bregman 3 for 5. On the last day of April, April 30th, 2025, your top performers and player of the game were the top performers. First and foremost were Dalton Varsho, 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs, and a run scored, and of course a walk issued. Your player of the game and also a top performer, 2 for 5, Alejandro Kirk, home run, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. And Jeff Hoffman was another top performer, 2 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs or any hits given up. Off we go to game number 3, the last one, and this is where we will take the break. So, first of all, who were the top performers? Well, both of the pitchers got in on top performer. Tanner Howick with 7 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, an earned run given up as well, 6 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts for Barrios in 6 2/3, and we also saw 7 hits given up and 2 earned runs. Dalton Varsho with a home run, an RBI, and a run scored, as well as a walk. That sends us to the player of the game, which was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Yep, that's right. It was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 1 for 4 in the game, a home run, 2 strikeouts, and 3 RBIs for our boy Placata, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he was your player of the game in Thursday's 4-2 win over the Boston Red Sox. All right, players of the series, fast approaching their next. It is time to take a look at how Boston and Toronto did in the upcoming series that followed this series. We'll take a look at our current standings, where they stand as we speak with you, and of course, start beginning to set up. Blue Jays versus Guardians. That 3-game series recap is on its way very shortly. But first, heading into play today, where do standings stand? You'll find all that out following players of the series. Before we give you a look at the series that has just been played besides the Guardian series, with the Blue Jays. And of course, we'll get you a look at Boston's upcoming series as both the Blue Jays and, yes, both the Blue Jays and the Red Sox are off as we speak. The only team that is not off right now as we speak is the team that will be playing tonight and played the Blue Jays this weekend. Those are the Cleveland Guardians. But there's a lot of Guardians talk to talk about, and we'll get to it on the Guardian Show. Double Trouble, Blue Jays versus Red Sox wraps up on the other side right after this from our wonderful friends over at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time.
Hello? How are you, my friend? Why? What's the matter? Why feeling bored and lonely? Look! Look at me! I am always happy. The only reason I can tell you it's because I listen to Sienna T Radio. All the best shows you can think of. The Melting Pot, the Cosmopolitan Culture Club, and the Song Bank. There are also many more new shows to come. Please make sure to visit her website at http://siennat.wordpress.com/siennat-radio. Oh, now I can hear you more cheerful. Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode, two more, I should say, from our Boston Red Sox and Blue Jays baseball game recap. Blue Jays and the Red Sox from April the 29th to May 1st, 2025. Red Sox take 1 out of 3. The Blue Jays take 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. They took 3 out of 4 at Fenway Park. In the first time these two squads would meet, they took 2 games out of 3 against the Red Sox in Rogers Center. Final scores, in case you missed it: 10-2 on April the 29th, 2025, which was a Tuesday night. 10-2, the Red Sox beat the Blue Jays 10-2. On Wednesday night, the Blue Jays went into extra innings, taking down the Boston Red Sox 7-6. Records going into game number 3 would be 14-16 for the Blue Jays, and for the Red Sox, 17-15. Coming out of that series, the Blue Jays would be 15-16, and the Boston Red Sox would go to 17-16. Blue Jays winning the wraparound game Thursday night, May the 1st, 2025, 4-2. It is time for players of the series. But before we get down to that, let's take a look at our MLB standings as games play out today. One game postponed from today's action as of right now. That was the Guardians and the Nationals. They will play a doubleheader, I should say, tomorrow on Tuesday, May the 6th, 2025. Most of the other action is pretty much underway, but our records as they stand right now, with action underway, the AL East looks like this. The Red Sox sit at 18-18. Yankees are 19-15. The Tampa Bay Rays, who are third right now in the American League East, are 16-18. The Blue Jays are also 16-18. They will be back in action starting tomorrow night, late night, against the Los Angeles Angels. And speaking of the Angels, they are among a couple of the teams that are idle, including the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. There is also no action for the Baltimore Orioles today. So the Orioles record will remain at 13-20, and they will remain in last place of the division in the AL East. Cleveland is 20-14, 20-4. The Detroit Tigers, who lead Cleveland's division, are 22-13. The Kansas City Royals are 19-16. Minnesota Twins are 15-20. The Chicago White Sox are 10-24. And in the AL West, we're going to keep it just to the American League for now. The Seattle Mariners lead that division at 20-13. The Athletics are 19-16. The Astros are 17-16. The Texas Rangers 17-18. And the Los Angeles Angels are 13-20 as we speak. The National League standings we'll get to following the players of the series before we get into what series played out for Boston and what series has played out so far for the Blue Jays in their May schedule, as well as what is upcoming for them. And as our Double Trouble rolls on, I'll remind you that we are just going to be looking ahead to the series that have gone final as of late, which followed this series. So we would go by 2 series. We're only going to go by 1 for this episode. But in show number 2, we will go over 2 series, including the series for Cleveland that was supposed to start tonight at the time of our recording, but has been moved to tomorrow as part of a doubleheader. They will play a doubleheader on Tuesday. Records most likely will change by the time we get to that show, which is just around a couple of minutes away from beginning. But with that being said, let's jump into players of the series. For me, we're going to start with game number 1. And although Bowden Francis, as everybody may look at it, he didn't have a good start. For me, I thought he was pitching pretty well. I mean, yes, he didn't have a good start. I agree with that. I really do. But I like the fact that if I was a pitching coach, yeah, I understand you want like 4, 5, 6 innings, even 3 innings out of your starting pitcher. But the Blue Jays were lucky to at least get 3 innings of work from Bowden in this one. So Bowden Francis is going to be my first player of the series. From Boston, we're going to go over to game number 2. And specifically, my player of the series, he happened to actually be one of the top performers in the game. Now, this one they lost, but I'm going to go to their pitcher, Tanner Howick. I thought Tanner Howick pitched pretty well. He pitched pretty well to go 7 innings like he did. And yes, he struck out the Blue Jays 6 times. But, I mean, if he gets 2 more strikeouts, he's got 2 more, and he's tied with Jose Barrios in strikeouts. So on this players of the series, we go from game 1 to game 3. And the player of the series coming for Toronto from game 1, it's Bowden Francis. Wasn't a strong outing from Francis in this one, but it was definitely a decent one for me. I could much rather live without the 8 hits given up or the 7 earned runs given up, but hey, the Red Sox got to him early. He was lucky to at least get a strikeout, and that's all that matters to me. Moving on, our Boston Red Sox player of the series comes in game number 3, and that goes to Tanner Howick, who had quite the game. 7 innings of work, 4 hits given up, an earned run given up, and 6 strikeouts. All right, we started off with standings, moved into the players of the series. Now let's jump on into what has happened since we last spoke. So what has happened since we last spoke? Well, the Blue Jays began a 3-game series with the Cleveland Guardians where they would take on That's right, they took 1 out of 3 in that game, but they at least get a win, and that's all you can hope for. They at least were able to get a win under their belt, and for me, that's good enough for me in my book. That's good enough for me. If you could at least get a win, that's good enough for me. I'll take that any day of the week. The Blue Jays lost the Saturday and Sunday games. They lost 5-3 and 5-4. That was Sunday's final on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. For those who celebrated the Star Wars Day on Sunday. And of course, they lost 5 on Saturday. The score, they beat the Cleveland Guardians on Friday. We will talk about that in just a matter of moments. Meanwhile, for the Boston Red Sox, they also took 1 out of 3 at home against the Minnesota Twins. They beat the Twins 6-1 on Friday, lost 4-3 on Saturday, and they also lost 5-4, I should say, on Sunday. Their next series of a homestand, as they are in a 6-game homestand right now, will be against the Texas Rangers. The series, however, that was upcoming after the Blue Jays series was 3 games at home against Minnesota. They took 1 of those games, lost Saturday and Sunday. The Blue Jays will be back in action tomorrow, taking on the Los Angeles Angels, weather permitting. They will then face the Seattle Mariners for the second and final time this year. They won't play the Mariners for a while. Actually, will they play the Mariners a few more times? I know they'll play the Mariners at least one more time. This one will be in Seattle, but I don't believe they will be playing the Mariners later on in the year. In June, they are not playing. Are they going to play in July? No, they will not play in July. In August, do we have them in August? Nope. They will not play then. They will not be playing in September. So yes, May will be the last time we will see Seattle this year. But before that, they got to take on Mike Trout's Angels in the LA Angels. That begins tomorrow. The series, however, at Rogers Center between the Guardians and the Blue Jays was a weekend set, just like the Boston Red Sox. Wish all teams the best of luck the rest of the way. And again, as I mentioned earlier, and I will mention again on the Cleveland Guardian recap, Cleveland and the Nationals, who were supposed to play tonight, will play a doubleheader tomorrow. Therefore, their records will stay right where they are at 20-14 and 16-19. Other games going on right now, those records most likely will change. And of course, coming up a little bit later tonight, we've got the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Mariners, and the Athletics as well. Alright, so that will just about put a bow on the Red Sox series between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. But the next time the Blue Jays and the Red Sox will be playing one another, well, they've played once already at Fenway Park. That was in April. They've now played in Toronto. The next time these two teams will meet will be a 3-game series in a 6-game road trip when they take on the Cleveland Guardians and then the Red Sox. Looking forward to those games as well. That will be in late June. Then we will not see the Red Sox for a little while. We probably won't see the Red Sox again till September, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we won't see the Red Sox again until late September, which will also be the last homestand of the season. But we're getting too ahead of ourselves. Let's keep it back to May, because that's the month we're in. Next time on Blue Jays Game Recap, we are talking Cleveland Guardians and Toronto Blue Jays. And then on our following show, which will come your way, following Mariners and Blue Jays. Actually, no, because it is Mother's Day on May the 11th, 2025. We'll bring that to you on Monday, May 12th, which is next Monday, 2025. We will bring the series of the Mariners to you following that. And as far as episode for Sports for Beginners will go, we will bring you an episode of that one. We will bring you an episode of Season 4 Ahead of the finale of the Angels and the Blue Jays series, I'll give you my thoughts so far on the 2 games thus far against the Angels and a little bit more than that. But that is it for this one. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Lights up. Let's go Blue Jays. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. For everything that I mentioned, my name is Scott McGregor, saying that we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining us on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, for Blue Jays Game Recap, the after show on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, right after every Blue Jays game. To learn more about upcoming episodes, when they drop, and schedule, please visit https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Follow the show on Facebook at facebook.com/sportsforbeginners87. Send us an email at sportsforbeginners87@gmail.com. Follow Ali, Thomas, and Scott on Twitter at Scott McGregor3, Thomas J, and ALI Musa. Follow Thomas and Scott on Instagram at SMC_87_ and TM_80 and TM00_. Thanks for listening to Blue Jays Baseball, and we hope to see you soon again. This has been Blue Jays Game Recap. Once again, the website is https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening. And when it's time for the Blue Jays to play ball, there's only one chant Blue Jays fans will be using. Catch you later, baseball fans.